Hello, everyone. Welcome to William in the Magic Box. Today on our show, we are going to have Danika. Danika is from Canada, but she lives in New York City in the USA. So let's see what Danika has to say. Enjoy the interview. Hello, Danika. How are you?
Hello, I'm good. How are you?
Very well. Thanks so much for taking the time today for the interview. Thank you.
Of course, thanks for having me.
So tell me, how's your day going so far?
Good, good. It's been a pretty relaxing day. Everything's been pretty busy lately, but now the holiday season is kind of officially upon us, so I'm trying to make sure I take time to relax as well as organize everything.
Do you like Christmas?
I do. I love Christmas. I think it's probably my favorite time of year. I just love being with family and being with friends and getting to go home is always nice too. I love living in New York, but I do love being back home in my small city in Canada.
Oh, so you live in New York City now, but you're from Canada.
Yes, now I live and I'm based in New York City, but my whole life until I was 18, I lived in a small rural community just outside of Brandon, Manitoba in Canada.
And why New York City?
Well, when I decided that I wanted to pursue musical theater and the performing arts, musical theater is thriving and lives and breathes in New York City. And it's so vast and so diverse and vibrant. And that was daunting coming from a little small prairie town, essentially. But when my parents knew that I wanted to pursue musical theater professionally, it was my dad ultimately that
Wow.
encouraged me to go to New York because he said, well, if this is what you're going to do and this is where your heart is and this is where you're meant to be, then you need to go to the place where it is most alive. And that's here.
Amazing. I think that when you have a passion, when you have a gift, when you follow your career and you have your parents behind you, trust me,
Yes.
it's a big plus. You know what I mean? And also, as
Yes.
I said, your dad just encouraged you to go there. I think that's you feel safe. You feel like you can just go for it because you know they're gonna be there for you always.
Yes. Yeah, I agree.
What's the biggest joy of waking up in New York City every morning?
Honestly, this happens a lot more often than you think. I will just wake up and look out my window and see the streets and think, wow, I am in New York City. And it sounds cliche and kind of tacky, but it's true. You look up and like you see the super tall buildings or you hear all the noise and the music at night and you see all the lights and it's the city that never sleeps. And it's so true. And I was nervous initially coming here because living again in a small agricultural city, but also I live 20 minutes outside of that city. It's so quiet and you can see the stars and it's beautiful, but it's so like isolated and peaceful in a way. But here, you're just in the heart of everything. So I was afraid that I wouldn't be able to sleep because it's so like rambunctious all the time. But I love it. I love it so much. Just waking up and knowing that you are a part of that and you're just one small identity in this huge beautiful city is a really, really fulfilling thought.
Wow, I get your point. I live in London, and those big cities is like, my God, it never sleeps. It's always something happening. 24
Yeah,
hours, there's always something on. I think it's that's the beauty about living in a big city for sure.
yeah, I agree 100%.
And how long have you been living there for?
Oh my goodness, I've been living here for about 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it really is about two. Crazy. It feels like I came here yesterday, but at the same time, it feels like I've lived here forever. So
And
2 years,
and
truthfully.
since you've been living in New York City, do you get to visit your family in Canada or not?
I do. This past year, it's been really busy and lots has been going on with work and auditions and theater, and it's difficult to coordinate that sometimes. And also, international travel, of course, can be lengthy and expensive and time consuming. So, we
Okay.
travel when we can, but I always come home for the holidays as long as everything aligns to allow that. So, hoping all goes well. I will be coming home for Christmas this year, so I'm very excited to see my whole family and celebrate and be with them. But even for my birthday this past July, my mom came down to New York. So even though I didn't get to travel home, she came to visit me here. And
Wow.
then back in February, when I graduated, then my family came down to watch the graduation, watch our performances. So I see them, we call all the time, but being in person is very different.
Oh, okay, Danica. So let's start the interview talking about your career as an artist, as a singer. My God, I was watching some of your videos earlier on, and I was like, my God, her voice is just beautiful. So
Oh,
tell me,
thank you.
so tell me how everything started.
Well, I have been involved in the performing arts my whole life. Again, I'm very grateful for my parents and my family being so supportive and encouraging towards everything because I am the middle child of my family. I have an older sister and a younger brother. And throughout all of elementary school and middle school, we were always encouraged to do extracurricular activities, to do sports, to do dance, to do theater, to do music. So we did a little bit of everything. And then through that, ended up finding out what sparked our passions and what called out to us. And for me, it was the performing arts. So I
Wow.
started doing Ukrainian dance because part of our heritage is that we're also Ukrainian.
Oh,
So,
wow.
kind of to pay homage to that, but then also to be artistic, I took Ukrainian dancing when I was 4, I believe. And at that point, I also started piano lessons and I loved it. That sparked my performing arts journey. And after that, I think I took like gymnastics for a year when I was 5. And when
Wow.
I was 6, I started Highland dancing, which is Scottish dancing, and I fell in love with it. I've been doing it ever since.
Wow.
And the rest is history. Every year I would end up doing more theater. I think my first musical I performed in was when I was 9, so a couple years later, but it just took off from there. I was playing piano and violin, and I was in band in school and played oboe and bass, and I loved doing all the performances and concerts. I was taking Highland dance, but then I added on ballet and jazz and tap
Wow.
and theater and everything. And then at the same time, I was still doing musical theater and I was taking classes and I was teaching and choreographing and being in every musical I could possibly be in. So every year I just became more and more immersed in the arts and I loved it. And I'm
Mhm.
so grateful that my parents tolerated it because it's so time consuming. So thank you to my mom, especially because she drove me everywhere before I had a driver's license. Um,
Wow.
yeah, and then eventually that just continued. That has not changed. That is exactly the same now.
Beautiful, beautiful. I loved it. I love to see, how when when you love something, when you follow your intuition, you follow your gifts, that's it. You just go for it. You just follow everything about yourself. And that's what you meant to be on the stage. And I think that's
Yeah.
a beauty. Sure.
Thank you. Yeah.
Danica, are you ready to go on a beautiful journey through your memories in life and share your point of views?
Oh, of course. I'd love to.
Amazing. Welcome to William in the Magic Box. So I have here my best friend. Full of random questions. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to play a song just for us to relax before the first question. Okay?
Okay.
Let's do it. Right. So before we start the game, during the join, if it comes up a question that you don't want to answer or you don't want to talk about, always can change. Okay?
Of course.
Amazing. First question is, when have you been the most happy?
Oh, oh my goodness. I am a very happy person, so I'm happy a lot. But I'd say when I'm on the stage, but especially with people that mean the most to me, or better yet, if I'm performing for people that mean a lot to me and with people that mean a lot to me, that is my favorite place to be. Doing my favorite thing with my favorite people for my favorite people.
Or do you believe that happiness is a choice?
I think it can be. Sometimes I tend to be a hopeless optimist, which is a blessing and a curse. So
Uh-huh.
I'm always finding the bright side or the good in every situation. And, you know, as positive as that is, we also have to be realists. And sometimes that is not the most realistic thing. So I think that in a lot of situations, I choose to be happy about them, but it's a very complex
Mm-hmm.
matter. There are a lot of factors that come into that. Sometimes it's a lot harder to make that choice. Sometimes
Okay.
that's not the choice we should be making, but I think it absolutely can be.
And sometimes when you find yourself in a situation where, you have those days when we are not there. Happiness, I think it's amazing. I think all of us, we look for happiness. We strive to be happy all the time. However, some days it's just not there. And it's okay as
No.
well. I think it's part of the journey. When you find yourself in those moments, how do you um, face it? How do you find yourself to somehow turn around and go back to your happy moments? There is a way for you to deal with it or not?
Yeah, I've spent quite some time thinking about this actually, because sometimes there are moments that are really intense at that point in time, but you know that they'll pass. However, in that moment, it doesn't matter because it's still affecting you heavily at that time.
Okay.
So there's this kind of rule of five that I like to think about sometimes, and it can be hard to reason with yourself when you're feeling heightened emotions. But oftentimes I like to think, okay, this is really bothering me, this is really affecting me. Will it
Hmm.
matter in 5 minutes? Maybe. Will it matter in 5 hours? Depending on what it is, yes or no. Will it matter in 5 days? Sometimes no. Will it matter in 5 months? I might not even remember it. So sometimes just taking a step back and looking at the bigger picture in like a bite-sized way allows me to put it into perspective. Because sometimes you're experiencing something, it happened in the moment, maybe you're overwhelmed already. That
Totally.
doesn't help. But if you have a way to kind of clarify what you're feeling and how much influence it has over you, then that can kind of give you a moment to breathe and just realize that it might not be as pressing as it feels.
Totally. Amazing. Next question. Let's do it. Okay, next question is, if you could ask for a miracle, what that would be?
Oh, oh my goodness. I feel like that's such a broad question. I honestly, I would just wish for everyone to find the value in kindness because I feel like so many things could be bettered or solved or improved if everyone just had a little more kindness or was a little more aware of how important that is. And I feel like it's such a butterfly effect too. If so and so is kind to you, you're probably feeling happier. You're probably more inclined to be kind to the next person, so on and so forth. So I feel like in this day and age, we're so focused on like the task at hand and what's our journey and being independent, and that's great. But if we neglect kindness, then we lose all the connections and all of the interconnected framework of our lives and the people that support us, which we all need. So if I had the privilege of asking for a miracle to be granted, I would just ask for everyone to have a little more kindness in their lives.
Saying that, what's the biggest joy of being Danica? What do you like the most about being you?
Oh, I don't know. I, like anyone, there are days that are wonderful and days that are not, but I'm very grateful. I feel like one of my favorite parts about getting to be me is that I have so many people that support me in what I do, and so many people that I can reach out to, or talk to, or go out for tea with, or watch a movie with. And I think the fact that I have been so blessed to have such a lovely community in my family, in my friends, in my academics, in performing arts, that has allowed me to have so many opportunities, that has allowed me to have this sense of joy, have this sense of hope. So I think it's the community that I have. That's my favorite part.
And which person in your life right now you feel more close to or more connected with?
Oh, there's so many people in my life that I think are invaluable, and I could not be who I am or where I am without them. But right now, at this point in time, my boyfriend, Devin Brown, he is the most wonderful person. And we met through the performing arts and through school and are both pursuing musical theater in New York. We're both from completely different places, but he is the most wonderful
Oh,
friend, best friend, person to be around. And I'm so grateful that I get to be with him, survive New York with him, audition with him, create art with him, and just have someone who understands me in a way that seems so genuine, so wholesome, so true, and so loving.
okay, so he's watching this interview right now and have a moment and opportunity to send him a message. What would you say? He's watching.
I would say that I hope that one day he is able to truly see himself the way that I see him and the way that
Oh,
many other people see him, because he's an incredibly talented artist and a really generous person. And I'm grateful for the way in which I get to know him and get to be with him. But I know that
oh,
everybody that is close to him in any way is grateful for his presence. So I hope that one day he will be able to see himself as beautifully as other people do.
beautiful. Love it. Next question. Let's do it. Okay, so before the next question, what's the biggest joy of being in the musical theater business? What
Oh,
brings you the best of you? And the flip side, what do you find most challenging about your career?
that's a great question. I feel like there's so many answers, especially for what brings me the most joy, because of course, performing and creating art is just so fulfilling to me, and I think sharing it with everyone is just the most wonderful gift. But I think the absolute most joyous part is that to me, musical theater is all about empathy and creating connections and building that with not only your castmates and the other artists you share the stage with, but with your audience. So getting to tell stories that I know audiences resonate with and that bring them joy or let them escape from the hardships of what they're dealing with, or just make them feel seen and give them a sense of like grace and peace. That
Oh.
that brings me so much joy.
And the flip side, what do you find most challenging about your career?
I think the most challenging part is that you must have so much integrity and
Mm,
so much honesty and vulnerability to be an artist. So I guess there's kind of two parts to that. As in one way, you are your own individual self, and that is your greatest strength. But sometimes it can be difficult when you are wanting to adhere to what you think people might want to see or want to cast. Then you can't lose who you are and what you've worked so hard to become, because
totally.
ultimately what is meant for you will come to you. And sometimes that is in the moment, and sometimes that is down the line. And that is the beauty of creating new and diverse art. You never know when it's meant for you. And
Oh,
similarly, I feel like it can also be such a competitive industry,
yes.
but there is such a beautiful arts community, especially musical theater. And I think that if we just step outside of that independent box of this is my mission and I need to fulfill this task, and it's great to be focused, but to
Mhm.
have that support from people around you is probably the most powerful tool. And then eventually your friend might be writing a show, your friend might be casting a show, might be them in the room. And if you have those connections with them, then you will just have such a lovely time creating art in the future.
You said something that I truly believe. I think whatever meant to be for you, it will find a way to get to you. You know what I mean? I believe that, of course, you need to work hard. You need to, to go for it. I think luck, it's all about hard work and all work together. However, whatever meant to be for you, it will find a way to get to you. I've got goosebumps
Absolutely.
saying that because it's so true, and just you need to keep going, keep believing yourself. And, it's gonna find you somehow. Whatever is there, like waiting for you or looking for you, you just need to match the time. When you're ready for it, it's gonna explode and you're gonna
Right.
find
It just might take a moment to get there, but
for sure.
that's the exciting part. You just have to keep going and be
Yeah,
patient, and then one day it'll surprise you, and you'll say, "Oh, this is what it was all for."
absolutely. Okay, next question is, what has been the lowest point of your life?
Oh,
Tough question.
oh, that's a tough question. I I think it's especially difficult because there are lots of challenging moments in our lives, or lots of things that we find difficult, but sometimes there are really significant events that
Yeah,
reach a new level of difficulty, essentially. Honestly, I might say that unfortunately, loss is something that everyone is bound to face
totally.
in their lifetime. And many years ago, when I was much younger,
Yeah,
we lost my Jaja, and then a couple years later, we lost my Baba, who were both of my mother's parents.
I
So
see.
they babysat us essentially all the time. My parents would drop us off there, and they were such wonderful, wonderful, honest, and kind grandparents. And
Oh,
my Baba particularly taught me so much. She taught me how to bake. I love to bake. I bake all the time. She was
wow,
the first one to teach me that. She taught me math, and she would tell me stories and taught me how to draw and sew and knit and crochet. And they were both just so giving and so hardworking. And I feel like through spending so much time with them, I was able to develop those qualities. So part of them will always live on through that. But at the same time, they were so supportive and would watch dance recitals or music concerts, or they bought me my first bright turquoise custom Highland uniform or my violin. And they were so unconditionally supportive of our endeavors into everything. So finding out that they were both gone was devastating. And I mean, it was quite some time ago and I was very young. So
mm,
there has been a lot of time to grieve and reflect and just be grateful for the time that we had with them. But
so
oftentimes, I, even now, remember things that they've done that have been pivotal stepping stones in my journey to get here. And I just so deeply wish that they could be here to see this, or I could thank them in person for everything they've done. So even though that was some time ago, the effects are always lingering of something as
totally.
significant and heartbreaking as that. Yeah, so I feel like that was a pretty devastating point in my life, but they always serve as inspiration for everything I do. So they
Totally.
are not gone.
Totally. And I think that, our connection, our grandparents is something special. Of course, we love our parents, we love our siblings, friends. I think those people around us, they are special. But our grandparents, it's just something special about them that
Absolutely.
touches our hearts. And, I think, I'm sure whatever they are right now, I'm sure they are looking for your, like cheering up for your success, for your achievement. I'm sure they'll be there. They always gonna be there somehow. Trust me, that's for sure. And you mentioned before about you have so your background is Ukrainian. So your grandparents they were from Ukraine.
Yeah, yes, I have quite a diverse and interconnected family background. And by interconnected, I mean that a lot of it is European ancestry, but just from all over. So
Okay.
on my mom's side, we are Polish and Ukrainian. So my
Oh wow.
baba came from Poland, and then my mom was born in Canada, but she speaks fluent Polish as well as English. So
Wow.
I would love to learn more Polish. I only know certain words and phrases, but I heard a lot of it growing up. So that's like a very nostalgic and homey and comforting thing to me. And then my dad's side is Scottish, hence why I started taking Highland dancing because I had done some Ukrainian, which was for my mom's side. And then
Wow.
I started doing some Highland, which is Scottish for my dad's side. So on my dad's side, we are Scottish, English, Irish, Jewish, and Métis, which is Indigenous and French Canadian. So it's a specific culture within the Indigenous peoples of Canada. But I am really grateful that I've gotten to grow up knowing about all of the cultures that my family has come from and that are part of us, and they're integrated into the traditions
Yeah.
that we take part in and the holidays we celebrate and just how we live our everyday lives. And even in the art I get to represent these cultures, which I think is really cool.
It's amazing. I relate to you as well because I'm originally from Brazil, and for my mom's side, my grandmother she's not Brazilian. She's from Paraguay.
Ah,
And my granddad from my mom's side, he got Portuguese background. From my dad's side, my grandmother, she got Italian and also Polish. And and from my dad's,
everything.
yes, like a lot of, and my granddad, he got African. So it's a mix. I've got a mix of everything.
Oh
Um,
wow.
it's a lot. I think it's
Yeah,
amazing for us to
that's
be able,
amazing.
yeah, it's great. 3 questions left. Let's do it. Danica, next question is I'm still saying name right. Danica.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Next question is tell me what's the biggest prize you ever won?
Oh, oh my goodness.
Could be
Well,
could be sentimental as well, could be material, could be anything.
yeah, I don't know. That's a great question because I've done many theatrical festivals and performances and dance competitions my whole life, and I'm so grateful to have gotten the opportunity to receive recognition, which often ends up in a medal or a trophy or a scholarship or something. And that's wonderful, and I'm beyond grateful for that. And that is a reassuring achievement because you worked so hard and are being recognized in a very notable way. But
Wow.
beyond all of that, I think that the most wonderful prize that I've received would probably be something sentimental. And I think that it would honestly be the ability to live in New York right now.
Totally.
And I know that's kind of a loaded answer because
No?
there's so much happening in New York at any given time, but we are living in a time in this particular country where there is a lot happening. There's a lot of uncertainty, there's a lot of changes, and there's very little that I can do about it or most people can do about it. But I often think about how if it was just me, I was just completely independent of everything and just decided to come to New York or go to anywhere else just to pursue my career, then
Mm.
that would not have been possible. So I think it's layered because being here, getting to be in the city and experience everything
Mhm.
I've experienced, getting to train in the way I've trained, getting to live in the way I live and work and audition and experience art and be part of art, that collectively I think is the most incredible prize I could ever receive. Having this dream and getting to receive that reward is pretty wonderful. But I think connected to that, another layer to this prize, which is even better, is the fact that all of that was made possible because of the community I grew up in, the friends I've made, the peers and mentors I have, the family that I get to call my own, the people I've met here that have supported me, my friends and my teachers and fellow artists. So I think it really is about all of the connections and all of the kindness I got to experience. I think that is the most
Wow.
invaluable thing that could have come my way. But to lead me here is just the best prize.
I love your answer, and I love your gratitude for this opportunity in your life because, I'm sure people around the globe they would love to have the same opportunity. People, artists, they would love to be in New York City right now, to be, trying a career, and I think we should be grateful all the time for those moments because, as you said, it's the biggest prize you can ever have because you are in a city where everything's happening. The artist scene is just so big, so well known. Everyone is loves to be in New York City to
Yeah.
pursue a career, and you are there, because your parents, your family, people around you, of course you as well, is all about you put your work on it. So I think it's a place to be grateful for sure because a lot of people they don't have an opportunity for that, and you are there. I think it's great to be grateful for those moments and recognize that. I think that's the beauty of it. Beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely.
Two questions left. Let's do it. My God, I'm so brave to be dancing in front of a professional artist here now.
No, it's great. I love it.
Before the next question, tell me three names of three artists that you always be inspired by,
Oh,
in the theater or the musical business. Tell me three names.
oh, fantastic. I love this question. One of my favorite artists of all time is Sarah Bareilles. She is just incredible. I love her music first and foremost. That is how I first fell in love with her art and her music. I love her albums, her lyricism, her music, her compositions, everything she does in the music industry. I love what she's done in musical theater. Waitress is one of my favorite musicals. The fact that she has performed on Broadway in this leading role and she was just a star. I think that she is such an exemplary artist because she performs and she sings and she writes and she plays instruments and she just creates all the time. But one of my favorite parts about her and what is most inspiring to me is that she's so honest in her work, in what she writes about, her storytelling, what she addresses. And I think that's a really beautiful and really brave thing because it's hard to be honest sometimes or to be truthfully open and vulnerable. And I think that she is the perfect example of someone who always does that. So I absolutely aspire to have those same qualities. Yeah.
Wow.
So Sarah Bareilles is one of them for sure. And two more. Ooh, I I absolutely adore Sutton Foster. She is just such a prolific musical theater performer. She is a triple threat. She sings, she dances, she acts. She is hilarious. She is wise. She has been working in this industry for quite some time, but has shown such range. She can do it all. She can do everything. And I also aspire to be as versatile and as polished and well trained as she is because she's done so much and she's always doing something, but you have to have such stamina and endurance for that. And goodness knows how important that is in theater. So I absolutely am so inspired by Sutton Foster as well. And finally, I I would say that I am so inspired by Eleanor Powell, who is a tap dancer from the
Mhm.
golden age of Broadway and musical films. And there's this one really famous clip of her dancing with a little dog named Buttons, I believe, and she's tap dancing and she's doing acrobatics, and the dog is dancing with her, and it's coordinated. And just to see someone who's so masterful in their craft and such a household name when it comes to tap dancing. I love tap. It is one of my favorite art forms for sure. But to see
Wow.
someone who is just utterly embodying that style, and not only that, like she turns, she flips and does front walkovers and dances with a dog. I mean, that's pretty fantastic. So she's also a huge inspiration to me.
Okay, so now the question is gonna be a bit tough now based on your answer. One day, you're gonna wake up in the morning having three missed calls on your phone from those three you just mentioned right now.
Oh no.
Which one you gonna call back straight away? Which one you're gonna send a message? I'll call you back later. And the third one, you don't call back, you don't send a message, you just ignored her for now.
Oh no. Okay, actually, I think I can answer this question.
Okay.
I would immediately call back Sarah Bareilles because I know that she lives in New York City. She works here and is always creating art, and she seems like such a humble and like down to earth person. So I think she would understand if I called her back right away and I said, "I'm so sorry, I missed your call." Now I would message back Sutton Foster, hoping she'd understand because I know she's super busy. But I'd send her a message and tell her we can converse later. And for Eleanor Powell, as much as I'm inspired by her, I'd be very confused as to how I got a call from her because to my knowledge, she has passed on. So
I see.
so
You're tick,
hopefully I don't have to worry about that.
tick, I love it. Amazing. Okay, next question is, are you a cat or a dog person? And if you could be an animal, which one that would be and why?
Ooh. So the thing is, at home, we have so many pets. I kid you not, we have a barn full of cats. We have four cats inside. Yes, four indoor cats. Many, many cats that live outside. We have a dog. We have chinchillas. I have two chinchillas at home.
Oh, wow.
We have lizards. We have fish. We have basically a petting zoo at our house. And it's always been that way growing up. And I loved it. I love animals so much. So that's difficult because I love cats and dogs. But I think when it comes down to it, I might actually be more of a cat person,
Okay.
which is maybe an unexpected answer for me because I'm a very outgoing person, and usually people that are like really sociable and energetic tends to kind of be dog people. And I love our dog Bailey. He is a German Shepherd Husky mix. He's huge. And I love him. He's a lovely dog. But I don't know. I feel like something about cats just calls to me. So maybe
I,
I am more of a cat person. And if I had to choose any animal to be, ooh, hmm. Honestly, I I might be a chinchilla. I love my chinchillas at home, and they're so cute and fluffy, and they get fed treats all the time, and they have a wheel that they can run on in their big enclosure, and they love to run and jump. They're very athletic. So I think it would be a blast to be a chinchilla, but I also think that they are cuddly animals and like to have attention, but they can also be independent and like to live just within their own groups of chinchillas. So I think I also appreciate that, and that also makes sense to me. Yeah.
uh, great. Two questions left. Let's do it. Okay, next question is, what is the most beautiful thing someone has ever done for you?
Oh, hmm. That is such a great question. I think that the most beautiful thing someone has ever done for me recently, maybe I'll narrow it down,
Yes, for sure.
is Probably the fact that I just had the opportunity with a group of some of my closest colleagues and friends to put on a professional musical. And it was a wonderful experience. It was a dream come true. I loved getting to bring these characters to life with some people that are some of my favorites to be around. So, first and foremost, that was a beautiful thing unto itself to just get to be doing what I love with people that I love and put on a professional musical in New York City. That was pretty darn exciting.
Wow.
But that particular day when we opened the show and we had four shows that day, it was a really long and
Wow.
tiring day. It was fulfilling, yes, but oh my gosh, I was so ready to go to bed when we were done. Um, but we had lots of people and friends come and watch. We had a live stream. So
Uh-huh.
lots of people from home and my family, my parents, my friends and colleagues were able to come and tune into the live stream so they could see the show. But my boyfriend, who also lives in New York,
Oh,
he was initially not going to be able to see the show in person because he wasn't feeling super well and there were other conflicts that were going on. And I said that is totally okay because that is a completely reasonable thing. Um, and of course, there was the live stream. So I said, that's totally fine. If you want to just tune into the live stream, if you're feeling well enough to, be awake and do that, then amazing. That sounds great. But
oh,
he ended up surprising me and he traveled all the way to the theater to see the final show and just come and support me in this endeavor. And all while he was dealing with other things and dealing with other stressful situations and just being physically ill. And I felt bad because I didn't want him to travel and come and see this show with all these people. That is probably not the most restful thing to be doing. But I thought it was so beautiful that the fact that he wanted to support me and see me doing something that means the world to me outweighed all of that. And he still came and saw it and celebrated with me and with the whole cast. And
wow.
I'm really, really grateful. I thank my lucky stars to have someone that's so unconditionally supportive.
Amazing. Beautiful. Last question. Ready?
Yes.
Do it. This one. Okay, before the last question, tell me through your career, I'm sure you have moments that for you was like, wow. But tell me a moment so far that you're gonna go like, you know what, this moment I will always remember, always gonna have a special place in my heart for any reason. And the other part of the question is, tell me a funny story that maybe you forgot the lines, maybe you fall on the floor, maybe you something that happened that you went like, oh my God, I can't believe that just happened. So two questions.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, the first part of the question, the moment that I will just remember and be so grateful for forever, would probably be when the final production I did in Brandon back home before coming to New York was Beauty and the Beast. And the first musical I ever did was Beauty and the Beast. So to have that be my first musical and then be my final musical before embarking on my journey to New York was just straight out of a dream. And when I was first a little 9-year old doing my first musical ever, I was in the ensemble. I was like a little schoolgirl in the opening scene, and I was a different character in every song, which was so exciting. That is such a wonderful experience. Ensemble work is just a blast. But
Wow.
I was just so thrilled to be part of the show because it was the first time I'd ever done it and I fell in love with it. And looking back, I'm so glad that I had that experience and that allowed me to realize where I want to be. And then coming full circle in my senior year before leaving for New York, I was so honored to get to play Belle in Beauty and the Beast. So to go
Wow.
from my first musical ever and just being excited to just be on the stage with people and to finally getting to play Belle not only a character that is just such a wonderful role in the context of the musical, but one that means so much to me, one I identify with so deeply, and one that has served my journey in so many ways because of the way it has, that show and that character have kind of manifested themselves in my musical theater journey in life. It was just such a beautiful moment. Um, and in our final show, during the scene where it seems like the beast is weakened and is going to die, and Belle is singing a reprise of an earlier song, and it's a very heartbreaking and sentimental moment. I was holding back tears that whole day because I knew it was, of course, the final day of shows, and playing Belle and getting to play a character I identify with so heavily was just a dream come true, absolutely.
Wow.
And in that moment, the tears started to pour. I was nearly sobbing, trying to keep it together on stage, but I just felt so much gratitude and support in that moment, and sharing it with a close friend who had played the Beast, and sharing it with many close friends on the cast, and with my parents in the audience, and a sold
Wow.
out theater. It was just
Wow.
something I will always, always, always remember. So
Wow.
that's the first positive, sentimental part of the question. And oh, the second part of the question, I have seemingly had a trend of costume mishaps on stage, unfortunately. And it just keeps happening. It's not even in one show, it keeps happening. We had done a production of a musical called Descendants, and it's based on a Disney Channel movie, and I was playing the leading lady Mal, and she's the daughter of Maleficent, if you don't know this particular show. Um, but Mal is seen in a leather jacket and jeans most of the show, and I wasn't complaining. That was pretty comfortable and also out of character for me. I never wear jeans and leather, so that was pretty exciting. But in the final scene of the show, she comes out on stage in this beautiful gown. And that's much more similar to me and the dresses and skirts I like to wear. But for Mal, incredibly out of character. So I felt comfortable being in something that was so close to me. But of course, there had to be a costume mishap. And the zipper got stuck in the final show. So the back of the dress was completely open. And I had to do the whole like 15-minute final scene and dance and song with the dress not completely on. And we tried to safety pin it before we went on stage, but then it broke the safety pin during the scene. And I just thought, oh gosh, please let this dress stay on. And the same mishap happened in Beauty and the Beast, which was terrifying because it felt like it was haunting me. This happened, I thought I was over it. It would hopefully never happen again. In Beauty and the Beast, it was a dream to get to wear that beautiful yellow ball gown. But one of the first days we ran the finale, the zipper got stuck. It was completely open, and I had to do this whole dance number. And I said, well, this is just part of my career. It's just a staple now. And in our final show of Beauty and the Beast, there's a really quick change in one of the songs into this beautiful pink dress. And it had some Velcro at the front and some clasps, and that is how the dress was designed. And
Oh my God.
I had people helping me backstage. I knew what to do, and it was mostly in the dark because we're backstage. But we had a system. Someone would hold the dress, I'd step into it, we do the Velcro quick change, and back on stage. And it worked, but something happened, and the dress wasn't set up properly. So for the final show, I go
Oh
on
my,
stage, and we think it's on properly, but the Velcro starts coming off, and I was petrified. But luckily, I was holding a book. A book was a prop, and I
right.
had to hold it for the scene. So I said, great, this is my cover, and I will use this and not let go of it for the whole scene. And it was
That's,
okay, but these things are bound to happen, and they happen at the worst moments in time. But at least now I can laugh about it. So,
I love it. I think those moments just to make you to think you say, oh my God, what's gonna happen now? It's just
yes.
challenging you. It's the moment to challenge you somehow. Okay, last question is Tell me a funny or a crazy story that happened to you when you were a child at school.
I think that getting to be in musical theater my whole life is
Uh-huh.
something I will always be grateful for. But oftentimes that meant that if we had a day of school matinees, then I would go to school, my classes after the show, but I would still be in my makeup and hair from the show because there's
Right.
no time to change before you
Oh,
go back to school. Or, oh, you finished your show before lunch. Okay, now you're going back to grade five, whatever grade you're in. So I remember, I think I was grade six or seven, maybe, and we were having parent, teacher, and student conferences, and we were doing a production of Mary Poppins, which it might have actually been grade eight, because if that was the production, that was the year we did it. But I digress. This was not an uncommon occurrence. So I'd come back from the production of Mary Poppins, and then we had our parent, teacher, and student conference. So we came in for our scheduled time, went to go see my grade eight teacher, but I felt so awkward sitting there with my fake eyelashes and my eyeliner and my bright lipstick, and my hair was all slicked back, and I think it was in braids because I wore a wig for the show, and my bangs, which I've had my whole life, were pinned to the side. So I think I looked like a whole different person because when you see someone and know what they look like, and suddenly they look this whole face of makeup, and I was also in grade eight, so that's not typically what kids in grade eight do. Um, and my hair was all slicked back and hairsprayed and pinned and braided, and of course my bangs were gone. So I remember just sitting there and taking in the whole interview, but feeling so out of place because I was like, this is not what I'm supposed to wear when I'm at school. This feels so strange. And I'm sure my teacher thought it was kind of weird because I could almost feel the energy of this is not normal, but you
it
know,
happened.
it
It just
happens. Such is life.
amazing. Right, so then yet, let's play now the word association game. Okay, I'm going to say some words. Just tell one word that comes to your mind. Keep thinking. Let's start with money,
Money. Ooh. Banks.
fear,
Darkness.
family,
Love.
life,
Happiness.
religion,
Faith.
love,
Comfort.
politics,
Terrifying.
friendship,
Joy.
desire,
Passion.
regret,
Anxiety.
success,
Achievement.
wish,
Aspirations.
happiness.
Hope.
One word for New York City.
Ooh. Vibrant.
One word for Canada.
Home.
One word for musical theater.
Community.
Oh, and the last one now. One word for artist. Would you say?
Ooh. Brave.
Amazing. Let's pretend now I'm going to meet your boyfriend for a coffee, and I'm going to ask him, define Danica in one positive and one negative word only. What he would say about you.
Ooh. Positive. I think he would say hopeful because I always strive to be hopeful and optimistic, as I mentioned earlier, but that's just me. That's who I am and part of what I do. So I'd say hopeful for the positive one. And I would say worrisome for the second one.
Like,
Because as much as I am very detail oriented and I care very deeply about my work, oftentimes that means that I tend to become very worried or very worried very easily. So worrisome.
amazing. Let's play now, Danica and the Magic Box, and you can ask me a question. But before that, let's play the music one more time. Let's do it. Right, so before you ask me the question, of course, 2016 is knocking the door. It's almost there. 2025, it's finishing soon. My question for you is, if you could define one word for 2025, what that would be?
Ooh, 2025. I feel like, at least for me, and probably for many people, so much has happened this year, and a lot of wonderful things, a lot of fulfilling things, but also a lot of uncertain things. So it's a combination of everything.
Yeah.
So I would say change. I feel
Wow.
like a word that at least encompasses my 2025 is change
Change.
in
I like
many,
it.
many ways.
Amazing. Okay, Danica, you can ask me a question now.
Ooh, okay. If you could have lunch with any musical artist, like any musician, songwriter, performer at all, who would you want to have lunch with?
What a great question. Um, this person needs to be alive, or this person could be gone as well? What do you think?
Either, both.
Okay, I'm going to answer this question based. The first person who came to my mind, I'll tell you, but before I'm going to share a fun story before I answer you. So when I was a child, when I was like maybe 6, 7 year old, back in Brazil, and I remember my teacher. She gave us like a questionnaire, like different random questions, like very simple questions about yourself. And there was a question there asking, "What would you like to be when you grow up?" And I literally wrote down Michael Jackson. And I gave back, okay, and she collects all the answers for everyone. And
Yeah.
next day she called me in her desk and she said, "William, come here." So I went there, she's like, "Did you understand this question?" And I said, "Yes." And she said,
Mm-hmm.
"Why did you put Michael Jackson?" And I said, "Because I want to be Michael Jackson when I grow up." And, and she said to me, "But Michael Jackson is not a profession." And I said to her, "No, no, no, I want to be Michael Jackson when I grow up." So I have this vague memory, and also I have a vague memory. My mom talking to me about it, so I think she contacted my mom because I didn't want to get it. So you know what I mean? So she said, "Okay,
Oh.
let your mom explain to you better, maybe." So I remember my mom having a conversation with me, saying, "You could be a dancer, you could be a performer, you could be a singer, you could be none of that." And Michael Jackson, he's just a person doing all of that. And I didn't want to. I said, "No, no, no, I want to be Michael Jackson to grow up." So back to your question, I think I would love to have, a meal with him. I think I would love to have
Yeah.
those. I remember the very first time when I heard, I think when Black and White came out in I think the 90s, or I think it was the beginning of the end of the 80s. I don't remember, but I remember I even could speak English at the time, and I remember listening to that song, one of that song, and I was like, "My God, it's powerful." It made me dance. It made me move. Just listen to the music. And I didn't know who was that. And I think I remember asking maybe my mom or who's that. And maybe they explained to me who was Michael Jackson, and they showed the picture of him. So I think I would love to have a meal with him. And I would like to understand a little bit more about someone who grew up in the spotlight. He literally, his life was about being, in the spotlight. I would love to hear a little bit more about him without, the spotlight, just to have a little meal with him, just to understand a little bit more about such a great talent that, sadly was gone too young, but left his legacy in the world. I think I would love to have. I could tell so many names, Danica, because I think I love artists, people. I'm so inspired by music. Music moves me every single day. And I think that, I cannot sing, sadly. I cannot, however, when I see people singing, for example, when I saw you singing in your video, it just brings me joy. I said, "My God, such a beautiful, thing to see." And Michael Jackson, he had all of that, you know what I mean? So I think I would love to have a meal with him, just and to share this moment with him as well, this memory that I had as a child. I think I would love to do that for sure.
Oh, that'd be so cool.
So yeah, Michael Jackson for now, for sure. Yes.
Yeah,
Did you enjoy the interview?
I did. I've had so much fun.
Thanks again. Thanks for taking the time for the interview. And I really would love to tell you something. I think, as I mentioned, when I was checking your profile a little bit, and for some reason, I could feel some kindness. And talking to you through the interview, I was so right, because sometimes, even if you don't know the person, you can feel a vibe of the person. And I came to the interview knowing that I would talk to someone. I think it's your voice as well. You have this calm voice that comforts. There's some comfort there. So I think it's amazing for you, and I love your attitude about being grateful for everything that you have in your life, for your talent, for being in New York City, for your family, for your boyfriend, for life overall. And I think it's amazing to see that someone so young, so beautiful, so talented, and having this mindset of gratitude and being grateful. I think you are in the right path, Danica. So carry on with your life, carry on with this mindset. Never change, because it's unique and beautiful and says a lot about you.
Thank you so much. That means the world to me.
Amazing.
Thank you.
And before you go, if you can share a positive message or anything that you live by.
Oh, I think that as someone who also writes in musical theater, I often think about what message I'm sharing through my art or through my music, through my songs, through my characters, everything. And a lot of my messages are about hope and about
Mhm.
sharing light with people or being the light that
Yes.
guides others in whatever way that may be. I think that empathy and hope and authenticity are all so integral to everyone and everyday life. So I would say that a little hope goes a long way. And that's something I've been thinking about a lot in my writing. There is a song that I'm working on with that exact message, but I feel like that kind of encompasses exactly what I believe. Just a little bit of hope can go a
Well,
very long way.
always, always, for sure.
Yeah.
Thanks again. It was a pleasure having you on the show, and I can't wait one day to be in New York City and come to see you live. For sure, I can't wait for that to happen. Okay?
Thank you.
Regards to your family, to your friends, and your boyfriend, and you keep in touch. It was a pleasure having you on the show. Okay? Enjoy your day.
Absolutely.
Take
Yes,
care.
thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
So, did you like the show? Don't forget to give a like, to share it, and also don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And if you'd like to be part of the show as well, first, subscribe to our channel, and after that, just go to our website, www.williamandthemagicbox.com, and send us a request saying why you'd like to be part of the show. And I see you there. Bye bye, see you next time.